Now, the Trump administration is clarifying the scope of its strikes on Iran, insisting the mission targets missiles and naval capabilities, not regime change. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth had last night said the operation is not a so-called regime change war. Senator Marco Rubio echoed that this morning, saying that the goal is to eliminate Iran's short-range ballistic missile threat and to neutralize risks from its navy, particularly to U.S. naval assets. So there we are seeing some sort of flip-flop there. Meanwhile, Trump has also been changing positions on war goals. So this is the latest that is coming in. Now, Akanksha, if I could just come back to you on that as well. Of course, the earlier stated goal was for the United States and Israel to here act as perhaps a catalyst for regime change. But as is the case, the idea has not died there and regime change hasn't happened. To that end, we are seeing Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio now echo that same line, that the idea was not regime change to begin with. So what really is the end game in this war?
The president will start a war with Iran because he has absolutely no ability to negotiate. We tried. They wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. Again, they wanted to do it. They said, he will start a war. I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars. This was our last best chance to strike. We more and more are not wanting to be the policemen of the world. An Iranian regime armed with long-range missiles and nuclear weapons would be an intolerable threat. She would get us into World War III. They're drafting you to go and fight in some country that I've never heard. We may have casualties. That often happens in war. Sadly, there will likely be more.
The Department of War launched Operation Epic Fury, the most lethal, most complex, and most precise aerial operation in history. We didn't start this war, but under President Trump, we are finishing it. Their war on Americans has become our retribution against their Ayatollah. If you threaten Americans anywhere on earth, we will hunt you down without apology and without hesitation, and we will kill you. This is not a so-called regime change war, but the regime sure did change. Last June, Operation Midnight Hammer obliterated their nuclear program to rubble. Afterward, we told them plainly, that's it, now make a deal. They arrogantly refused. The former regime had every chance to make a peaceful and sensible deal. But Tehran was not negotiating. They were stalling, buying time to reload their missile stockpiles and restart their nuclear ambitions.
All right, so the United States, whether it is President Donald Trump or the Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, have in fact been giving multiple reasons. What is endgame Iran for the United States? That is the big question that still remains unanswered. Let me quickly take that forward with our in-house studio guests who are very much with us over here. Many thanks to you gentlemen for joining in. Ambassador Dogra, if I could begin with you, what's your assessment of this situation at the moment? Is this US dismantling the nuclear program? Can they do so? Or is this a regime change, something that the US president has indicated that they are not now looking at?
Akanksha, there are reports, unconfirmed reports, that they had attacked America and Israel, the nuclear installation in Iran. I hope no great damage has been done because that will be disastrous. But as far as your question about Trump is concerned, he changes his statements with the weather. That's his norm. But in this case, he's changing his statements and stance because of the difficulties America is experiencing in this operation. First, it was regime change. Now he says, no, we don't want regime change. We want decapitation of their capabilities. Now, that has not happened, and that is not going to happen because Iran has much more stockpile than America and Israel have to continue with the war. So Trump seems to show some kind of desperation because there is resistance building up within America and American allies in Europe, because this was, according to all reports, declared an unwise venture even by his army chief of staff. So Trump has ventured into something because of Epstein. Trump has ventured into this because of pressure by Netanyahu. But now he is beginning to find a way out, which will be very difficult because Iran is determined that they will pursue it to the end and they will pursue Trump till he apologizes.
Oh, well, thank you so much for that, sir. Of course, we're getting in some more breaking information right now as well. Iran claims massive missile and drone